But, over the last decade, we've seen just an exponential increase in the kind of repression. There have always been dozens of Zionist groups who are spearheading a lot of the suppression, but more and more we're seeing the state engaged in repressive activities. So, over the last, just since 2014, we've seen waves of legislation, for example, that is punishing or attempting to criminalize advocacy for Palestinian rights, BDS campaigns in particular, that is trying to codify a definition of anti-Semitism that is designed to encompass advocacy for Palestinian rights and anti-Zionism. What we saw in the last decade has been an exponential growth in the kind of repression, especially on campuses. Educational institutions have been a primary space where these kinds of debates are happening and where repression is focused. And so we've seen over the last decade, also an increase in doxing of students, professors, as you all know, of disciplinary actions against students based on often bogus accusations and complaints against them. Very personalized attacks often, right? The tactic is, one of the major tactics is to target individuals, to make examples out of people, to try to scare people away from engaging because it's too costly for their careers or their reputations. So that has been a growing tactic. And we've also seen an increase in lawsuits. The lawsuit against the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights went on for a few years before just ended this fall. And they were accused of supposedly supporting terrorism because they tweeted about the Great March of Return in Gaza and fiscally sponsored the Boycott National Committee, and that case was dismissed. But the purpose of this kind of lawfare, as it's called, or these kinds of legal attacks, are to distract us from the goals of the movement, which are to advance, Palestinian rights here, to change U.S. policy away from unconditional support for Israel, to stop the unconditional, unfettered supply of military and financial and other aid to Israel, et cetera. It's to distract the movement from those goals and to drain our resources to defend, the basic speech and advocacy that folks are engaged in. So certainly none of what we've seen since October 7th is new, but the scale is unbelievable, unimaginable. It does not spare any sector, any arena, from K through 12 schools to universities to tech companies to every employment situation you can think of, to government workers, to artists and intellectuals and writers and anything. We've had intakes from grannies who, go to the casino and are kicked out because they're wearing a Free Palestine t-shirt. So the level of kind of McCarthyist purging that we're seeing in every conceivable arena is unprecedented for sure.